Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So exciting to have Ahmer joining us here, not only live on the podcast, but on the Zoomcast as well. And he's going to share with us all these amazing expeditions. He's the owner of, Hourglass Expeditions, and that's the website, hourglassexpeditions.com, specializing in travel planning. And let's also talk about all the consulting you do. So anyone planning to travel, you need to contact him. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today, Joe?
I'm doing great. Would you mind telling everyone a little bit about your company and what you do? And I know you're from the San Francisco Bay Area, right?
That's correct. Yes. So we've been around since 2018. So a
Mm-hmm.
couple years before the pandemic started to do really curated trips for people who are thinking about having their own thing, right? Rather than going with a
Mm-hmm.
package tour or just trying to go off by themselves. And so what we do is we talk to people much like you and I are talking now and get to know them, understand them, who their family is, what they like, what they don't like, where they've been before, what kind of trip activities they really enjoy doing. And then based off of that discussion, curating a step-by-step, day-by-day itinerary for them that is geared just for them. And so they can maximize their trip and not have to worry about all the other things that go on around it.
Okay, gotta ask. Need your background. This is our first Zoom, right? So I need to know about you. What brought you here, and made you, so passionate about travel to start your own travel business? And then I gotta know how many countries that you've been to.
Yeah. So I kind of started as a kid. I was a member of the Boy Scouts, and that was my first real introduction to camping and
Mm-hmm.
going out into nature and the great outdoors and learning different skills from my troop and scoutmasters. And then eventually, when I was in college, I used to go on a lot of road trips with my friends all here on the Western United States, whether it's to the Grand Canyon or to Yellowstone National Park or Crater Lake up in Oregon, or even driving all the way up to Vancouver from Central California. And then when I graduated college and I finally had a job and had some money, I'm like, you know what? Let's keep this going. So I started going to faraway places like Norway or China, or down to Argentina, places that are just really far off there on the map. And I loved it so much that it became a part of my life. And after I hit my seventh continent, which was Antarctica in 2017, I, with some people, decided, you know what, maybe I should turn this passion of mine into a full-time business. And so I've been doing it pretty much ever since.
Got it. Well, we're excited to have you. How can people reach out to you?
So it's very easy. One is just the website, as you already mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
www.hourglassexpeditions.com. They can also email us at sales@hourglassexpeditions.com. And then our local phone number here in the Bay Area is area code 415-740-3820.
Awesome. Well, what did you have in mind for us today? What type of journey path do you want to take us down to really highlight, the work you're doing and why we should reach out to you to immerse ourselves in the world's best destinations? Oh, wait, by the way, how many countries have you been to?
So I've been to just north of 50 countries and territories.
Okay, how many countries are there in the world? I don't even know.
The number changes depending on who you're asking, but
Okay.
the one that I know of is 193 official
Okay.
countries, and that may not include territories, like French Polynesia is a French territory, or Western Sahara is still a territory, right? Something like that. But yeah, I've been to about 50.
Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. Sorry. So what did you want to discuss for today? What area of the world and travel are we talking about?
So one of the areas that's really peaked since people started traveling again the past couple of years after the pandemic is Africa. I have many clients right now who are trying to take trips either to South Africa, to East Africa, go see the gorillas in Uganda, go on a
Ooh.
Nile cruise down
I always hear about the
Egypt.
safaris, right?
Yeah, the safaris are just fantastic, and especially there's a huge push now on sustainability safaris to make sure that we go out there and we leave no trace, and the animals are protected from us just as much as we are protected from animals, the wild animals out there. And so when I talk to my clients and I get to understand, what it is that they're looking for, some people are actually going on honeymoon safaris, right? I just got married, and me and my
Yeah.
spouse, we want to go on a 10-day trip to Tanzania. We want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. We want to go into the Serengeti, and just really adventurous things that I recall people from my parents' generation probably never really considered.
Yeah.
The world may have just been much larger back then, and travel would have been a little bit harder. But now,
Uh-huh.
pretty much
Now.
anything takes the cake, right? And So, for example, I'm working with a client right now who is going on a honeymoon safari to Kruger National Park. And so what they want to do is not only go into and out of Kruger National Park, but there are no private reserves all around it. And they just want to book a private reserve, which could be up to 10,000 hectares, and just spend an entire week there just with the two of them and their guide. And they'll walk around and see the elephants and the big five. And
Aw.
at night, they'll sleep in a nice luxury tent. And then they'll have a cook and a guide and somebody who could kind of
I
walk
don't
them
even know what a
around.
luxury tent is. Sounds fancy. You said a cook?
A
What?
cook, yeah. So that in South Africa has some of the best foods I've ever had. So
Wow.
that really helps there too. Not just the game food, but just the food that they make. It's a very delicious braai that they dig a hole in and they cover it with like charcoal and hot coals, and then they put in the food, they wrap it, and they put dirt
Mm-hmm.
on top of it, and they let it simmer for 24 hours. And then
Whoa.
when you come back the next day, then you got this incredible, delicious food that just melts right in your mouth. And so you asked about the luxury tents, and the luxury tents is what's called glamping these days, right? Glamour.
Oh, glamping.
Yes. And so they're semi-rigid tents. And so you go in, it's got like a queen size bed rather than sleeping bags. It's got a fully furnished bathroom, which includes a hot shower and a toilet and a sink. It has lighting in there. And some of them, depending on who the provider is, it could even have a portable air conditioner. So if you're in a very hot area like a desert, you can actually stay cool, not just from having a tent over your head, but making sure that there's an air conditioning system.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it could be 110 degrees outside, it could be 65 degrees right inside your tent.
Let me ask you this, glamping, right? So we're doing this in South Africa. Where else are people glamping?
All over the place. I've got another client leaving just a few days to Morocco. They're going out to a place called Chubby, very close to the tent, to the border with Algeria, and that's right at the edge of the Sahara Desert. And they're going to go glamping in there. So they're going to sit on a camel. They're going to go out for 2 or 3 hours, and then they're going to find this Berber village. And inside the Berber village, they're going to cook for them. And then when they sleep at night, it'll be in those glamping tents, and then they'll
Very
take the camel
interesting.
back to civilization the next morning.
Wow, that sounds awesome. You got me thinking about this now. Okay, what else? What else?
So there are a number of, so I just got a client reaching out to me today, wanting to go to Egypt, but for a very specific reason, and not just because it's beautiful and has all these temples, but there's going to be a solar eclipse that passes through Luxor in just a few years. And he wants to be there so he could catch the solar eclipse while he's surrounded by these amazing temples, the Temple of Karnak and Luxor. And so now I'm going to start working with him to figure out, what is the right day, time for him to be there, make sure that he has the maximum duration of the solar eclipse, and he can, and both before and after that, he can enjoy the rest that, the Egypt, Luxor, Aswan, and the Nile River has to offer him. So that's
Wow.
something that I'm curating specifically, and it has to be a very specific time, right? You've got basically
Oh
an
my, yeah.
hour, several years from now, in which this is going to happen. So you have to be very, very exact. And a package tour just doesn't do things like that.
Wow. All right. I love this. What else? What else we have?
So, and similarly, talking about eclipses or chasing the sun, there was an eclipse right off of Antarctica last year. And so I had a few clients looking for cruise ships who were going to be very, very specific as to being able to be in the middle of that eclipse. And so what the great thing about cruise ships is that it can actually travel. And so as the sun is moving across the sky with the moon right in front of it, you can, in the ship itself, you can maximize that. So it's not just a few minutes, but you can sail along with it, and you can increase the duration of the solar eclipse over a course of many, many minutes, which is phenomenal. If you've never been in one, it's like a whole nother planet, it seems like. But this is part of a travel experience. And then again, you have all of these additional amenities available to you on the cruise ship, landing on St. George, South Georgia Island, where Amundsen went way back 100 years ago, or you could get down to the Antarctic Peninsula, hang out with a number of different species of penguins. So all these like really amazing things that we may have just watched on television or read in books, now you can actually do, and it's not that difficult to plan and get done.
I love this, being unique to talk to someone, because no offense, there's a lot out there on the internet. People are Googling, trying to figure out their vacations, and how reliable is that? I mean,
Right.
yeah, I'd
Right.
rather go to someone who knows, who's been, who can really walk you through it than what someone is saying on an internet site, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's helpful to vet out the partners that you're going to be actually traveling with. it's very important to have the people who know the ground truth and not just saying we're going to put you in a shuttle and take you from points A to B to C.
Awesome. All right. Do you have another trip in mind that we could highlight that we're planning next for us? And maybe we could plan a big one.
Yeah. So I'm working with another client who is actually going to Norway, and Norway is actually one of my favorite countries in the whole world. It was my first country that I went to, and I just absolutely love it. So
Tell me about. I
there,
don't know anything about Norway. Please fill me in.
so one, it has some of the most beautiful fjords in the world. So if you Google Norway fjords and you look at
Yeah.
our villages, I mean, they're just breathtakingly gorgeous. But there's an archipelago on the northern end of Norway, just north of the Arctic Circle, called the Lofoten Islands, Lofoten. And they're a group of islands, actually, a chain of islands that actually come off of the mainland of Norway. And that more recently, the government of Norway has connected a number of them by bridges, just like the Florida Keys. But because they're up in the high Arctic and the terrain is so rugged and gorgeous, it's one of the most beautiful areas that I personally have ever visited, and I cannot wait to get back to it. And it's a great place for pretty much for all seasons. Even in the middle of winter when it's incredibly cold and icy, and the only way to get there is through an icebreaker sometimes, it is still just a spiritual place just to hang out there and see the midnight sun. And well, the midnight sun would be in summer, but just to experience the aurora borealis in the wintertime or see the midnight sun in the summertime. And then you can go fishing there, you can go rock climbing, you can go hiking through the mountains, and it's just one of the most incredible trips. And I'm thinking of leading a trip there probably sometime next year. And then as a part of that, going to another island well north of Norway, part of the Norwegian chain called Svalbard, and that's where you can see a number of polar bears during the year. And so have a great trip up to Svalbard in the far Arctic north.
Wow. Yeah, I want to. Okay, one of the things I want to do. How's this sound? A nice hotel. Where's the best ice hotels?
In
There's so
Finland,
many. Finland.
yeah,
Okay.
Finland has some great ice hotels in a region called Lapland. And so that's where like Santa Claus's house is, right, so to speak. And so if you travel north and you go north of the Arctic Circle, you can get ice hotels up there.
Well, because I have a 6 and 8 year old. Can you bring a 6 and 8 year old to a nice hotel in Finland? Is there
Absolutely,
stuff to
yeah.
do like Santa Claus-ish?
Yes, there's an entire Santa Claus village that you can hang out in and meet Santa Claus and like meet the elves and just go crazy because it's a pretty big place and it straddles the Arctic Circle. So you can have one leg north of the Arctic Circle, one leg south of the Arctic Circle, and the line goes right through your legs. But that's Santa Claus's village right there. And
But
then
I
you
was
can
gonna say, is there more than one Santa Claus's village? Like in the United States, there's more than one Santa Claus's
that
village.
that is that is the official one. I think that's the
Oh,
official
okay, good.
one.
I want the
Yeah,
official. We want
yeah,
official if we're gonna travel. Okay, good.
you can go there. And then from there, if your kids like reindeers, they can
Yes.
pet reindeers and feed them and hang out with them. And it's just an incredibly lovely place. And then if you're there in the late fall or winter time and it does
Yes.
snow, then they can experience the northern lights.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. When is the best time to go? Is Santa Claus there all year round?
Santa
What's the
Claus is
weather
there
like
all,
all year round?
well, actually in the summertime, I was there just a couple years ago, and it got to 80 degrees in the summer, which
Oh my
is
goodness.
unheard of. And this is mostly happening because of the changes in climate. But in the wintertime, it does get very cold, so well below zero
So what would
degrees.
be the best time to go? I gotta ask my
Fall,
travel
I would
expert
say
here.
fall.
Fall, so it's not too cold, but they still have
Not too
ice
cold.
hotels there?
They well,
Or
maybe not. Yeah, you'll have to wait until winter for a nice hotel, probably into November,
okay.
before you can have like enough ice to make a really nice
Well,
ice
I'm
hotel.
calling you to schedule that one, okay?
Perfect.
Actually we're going to Aruba in 2 days. We're
Oh,
staying at
nice.
a little Marriott timeshare surf club, nothing
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
fancy, but it's with the
yeah.
family and also I'm doing a little traveling and try. I'm not as worldly as you yet, but I want to get there.
Oh, I know. Aruba's
Have you been
fantastic.
to Aruba?
I was in Barbados just a couple weeks ago.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
good
and
for
it's right.
you.
It's not too far from
Hmm.
Aruba. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. What else do you want to talk about? I'm sorry, enough about me and the Santa Claus Village.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I look at is just cultural interaction. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and I started this way back when I went to Norway the first time, is just talking to local people. And it's
Hmm.
incredible how much my worldly knowledge has increased just talking to individuals. And so many times, especially when I travel by myself, I'm almost forced to talk with local people.
Yeah.
So, I was in northern Norway in some of these areas like the Lofoten Islands, and I was able to find some local Sami people. They'll mostly they're in Finland, and just talk to them and see how what type of a nomadic lifestyle they live, and just introduce me to all of these things that I never really knew about, and just completely opened up my understanding of the world and the people and how others live. But one of the most interesting experiences I had was when I was in Kenya. I was in the Masai Mara, and I got a chance to spend a night or two with the Masai people. And you may have seen them in like a National Geographic magazine. They're quite tall, wear very uh, brilliant or bright red clothing. But what's amazing about them is that they have an insane vertical leap, right? And so I was there around the campfire at night, and they started playing their music, go instruments, and many of them started to get up and do those dances where they just make an NBA basketball player feel a little insecure about themselves. And so when I tried to do it, I could maybe go as high as like 12 inches, and these guys were hitting it at 2.5 feet easily. But it was such an incredible experience sitting there trying to talk to them. I don't speak Swahili, they don't speak English, but through a guide, trying to understand what it is, how they live, their wealth is in cows and goats, and how that they use that as currency, and then how they make their homes out of the cow manure and live in there for ages. And then what their nomadic lifestyle used to be, how they send their children to Nairobi to get an education and come back. None of this was known to me until I got a chance to talk to them.
Wow.
Right.
What age do they send them away? Just curious. I mean,
Yeah, they're usually still children, like early teenagers, 11, 12 years old, and they leave the villages, go to Nairobi or other large cities, get an education, and then many of them too come back and become nomadic herders or do some type of small business to help out the family.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Amakan, we are in such deep conversation. We passed the halfway mark for me to remind everyone how we reach you. Go ahead, tell us.
Yes. Once again, you can go to our website at www.hourglassexpeditions with an S at the end.com. You can also reach us by email at sales@hourglassexpeditions.com, or you can call us at area code 415-740-3820.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue the conversation. I love it. See, what you're doing is expanding everyone's minds and view of the world. And anyone tuning in, look, after COVID happened, I really, I'm a single mom with 2 kids, and I work hard. And I have this fascination, like you. I want to travel. My mom was dying in 2017. We did the World Death Tour, is what I called it. We went to Monaco, we went to Paris, we went to London, we did Vegas, did a few things, right? But I wish I could do more. So
Right.
now with the kids, I'm a little limited, but I'm living vicariously through you. And speaking with you today, I'm really interested. And once COVID came, it's one of the things I realized more than anything. You have to start traveling. You got to start living. So it's time. Let's do it. Let's go away.
No, and you're absolutely right with kids. And kids is like
It's hard with
best,
kids. How many
it's hard
Disney
with
time
kids.
trips can we do? It's
True.
not that fun anymore. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're right. But it's incredible how kids are also they're almost like sponges. So if you were to take them to a new place that they're not exposed to, many times kids are just like, oh my gosh, I'm so into this, or running around. They're absorbing it even better than the parents are. And I have had so many clients with kids that come back and tell me, my kids like Ethiopia better than I did.
Oh my gosh. Go
Like,
figure. That
yeah,
is
go figure.
That
Oh,
is
sorry, go ahead.
amazing. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I apologize. I have something in my eye, so I keep rubbing my eye. Give me a second here.
Sure.
I'm okay. Well, what other things do we have to experience? And by the way, just to remind everyone, how does it work to work with someone like yourself? So do we call, we Zoom, we text? What is the fee? Does it depend on the package? How does that work? People might be saying, well, is it too expensive to hire someone to help me customize my trip?
Yeah, so different consultants do different things.
Mm-hmm.
We do not charge for our services, so it makes it very easy. And we also work with an entire range of budgets. So you can have a luxury trip, you can have a budget trip, you can have a premium trip. The way it works is you just contact us, and we can have a Zoom call, we can have a call on the phone, or we could just go by email. So preferably a Zoom call or a phone, because it allows me to understand the client. Again, going back to who they are, what they like, how large is the group, where they've been,
Yeah.
what they like, what they don't like. And then based off of that information, I go ahead and build out a curated trip. I call it
Got
an
it.
itinerary proposal, and I'll send it back to them, and then we'll have a follow-up call and say, what do you like here? Should we tweak something? Should we move things around? So usually about two or three of these iterations, we get to a point where they're
Okay.
like, yeah, I think we're 95% of the way there. And then I just start booking the trip for them. It doesn't cost the client anything to work with us because all of our revenue actually comes from the hotels and the activities and other things that we book. So they give us a small percentage of those fees back. And so it's absolutely free to you or any other client who wants to reach out to us and say, I really want to go to XYZ, or I'm thinking of A versus B. Can you come up with a few different itineraries for us? And then we'll decide. And we've done that many times as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. We still got time in the show. What other areas of focus and highlighted trips and destinations did you have in mind for us today?
Yeah, so another one that's usually very popular with a lot of people these days is just going to Western Europe. And so islands off of Western Europe, such as the Azores or Madeira, has been gaining a lot of traction, and mostly because they are fairly small, they are compact, and many times they don't get a lot of people to go there, even during the high season, like during the summer. So I've been talking to many clients lately who are saying, I do want to go to Europe, but I'm concerned about the crowds, and then just not having the enough time to see all of the attractions and all that. And so I recommend like the Azores. Why don't you spend a week out
Yeah.
there? And then from there, you're getting exposed to the Portuguese lifestyle, the culture, but the crowds are still pretty small. There's enough of an internal facility and infrastructure for you to still enjoy your time. From there, you can go down to the island of Madeira, right off the coast of North Africa. And then if you still have additional time, then you can hit the southern coast of Portugal. So you still get Western Europe and you get the European culture and lifestyle without having to deal with the crowds. So there are lots of ways to go around the same elements of what you want to do without really either A, spending a lot of money if you don't want to, or still being relatively isolated in areas, but being in an area that you really love and you're going to come back with some great experiences.
Ooh, all right. I still got me thinking about the Arctic Circle in Finland. Ooh, this is a good one. I wonder
Yeah.
how long is the flight from New York to Finland?
Well, if you take a direct flight to Helsinki, it's
Is it?
probably going to be about 7 hours.
I was going to say Helsinki is. It's it.
Well, Helsinki is the capital of Finland. It's right on the southern tip.
Okay,
Right.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. Maybe my maps in my head. It takes us 11 hours to go to Greece. We went there twice. This last summer and the summer before.
Nonstop, or did you stop some?
Nonstop. 10
11
and a half
hours.
hours. Yeah. I didn't realize Finland was closer.
Yeah, it is closer.
Awesome. All right.
Greece is on the far eastern
Yeah.
Mediterranean, right? And you flew direct to Athens?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because my boyfriend has a condo there, and so we did 2 summers there, and I mean, and then we did little trips to Mykonos and to Zakynthos, which was so beautiful, and to
Yeah.
some other islands. But I mean, I want to try Crete, I want to try those things. But I mean, I'm thinking Finland's closer. Why don't I go there? Okay, what else? What else do you have for us? Oh my gosh, we have 4 minutes left.
So Australia and New Zealand are other two really popular areas. A lot of Americans don't go to it because they just feel it's so far away, which it is. It's
Okay.
like a 16-hour flight just from San Francisco to Auckland, New Zealand. It's about a 15 and a half to 16-hour flight to Sydney. However, if you've got plenty of time on your hands, which some of my clients do, and they want to go for a 2 to 3 week vacation, still being a
Okay.
Western type of culture and climate,
Okay.
but really experience some amazing activities, wildlife, nature. I would strongly recommend either one or both of those countries.
Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. I'm
And it's
so
great for
excited.
kids too, because kids love kangaroos and koala bears. And so Australia
Mm,
is big on that.
oh my goodness. I wish I could just backpack and travel. Have you done the backpacking type trips where you just
Yeah.
go with like the shirt off the back? Oh,
I just have a big expedition backpack and I go
do
out
you
and
have kids?
I do. I have one and she's 7. So
Does she
right
travel
smack
with you?
all the time, except Antarctica. She didn't go there, but everywhere
Oh
else.
gosh.
Yeah.
Amazing. I commend you on that. And how do you do with like schooling and stuff?
So they're still young enough where I could just take her work with
It
us, and
doesn't, yeah.
yeah, and in first grade it's not that big a deal. But a lot of it is like during her spring break or during summer vacation. Last year we took her to England for 3 weeks, and she just spent time in a summer camp, going to Buckingham Palace and different museums every day. And so that was a fantastic experience. She wants to do that again this summer, but we're not doing it. But yeah, I take her to lots of places and expose her to the world.
Ah, it's amazing. You got a little world traveler on your hand, so it is possible.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. We got to get the kids involved more. Okay. What
Yeah.
else? Any other suggestions?
Um, Italy is always great. Everybody loves Italy. Everybody loves the wine. They love the history. They love
Mm-hmm.
the culture there. So
Culture. Yeah.
you can never go wrong with Italy or France or even some of the central countries of Europe, such as Switzerland. Is also one of my favorites to go and just hang out in the Alps. So in summer, there's wonderful hiking in the Alps, and in winter, obviously, there's great skiing.
Some. Where's the next place that you want to go that you haven't been?
I am looking at going to Greenland.
Okay.
Yeah, so starting off in Nuuk, the capital, tiny capital city, and then hitting the southern coast of Greenland.
Wow. And what, you have any plans for definitive plans when you're going or?
I'm looking at August.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And how often do you book trips in advance or do you recommend with people here? How far should we be planning our trips in advance? As a
Uh,
travel advisor, what do you do?
Yeah, so travel has come back really hard since the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic more or less ended. And so things are getting very expensive. And so if you could plan it for at least 6 to 8 months early, you're probably in a good sweet spot. If you're getting closer to that, especially some of the more expensive areas like the France or the Italy's or the UK's of the world, then it's going to be hard to find either good pricing or good vacancy. So
All
six
right.
to 8 months is that sweet spot. Unless you're going in an off season, like say October or in April, then you can get a little bit closer. But the summertime, Christmas, holidays, all that, you probably want to get in ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. And if we want to reach out to you for booking to find out more information, how do we do so? Remind us again.
Yeah, once again, you can email us at sales@hourglassexpeditions.com or give us a call at area code 415-740-3820. And then the website's just Hourglass
Now,
Expeditions.
you're in beautiful California, right?
I am in the San Francisco Bay Area. Yes.
Do you want to move? Is there somewhere better or do you like love where you are? Because if someone who has the explorer mind, do you feel like you're going to be moving?
So I always love to travel and I can stay at places for long periods of time, but I really like where I live.
Perfect.
So yeah.
All right. Well, you're the expert, so that's got to be one of the hot spots to live then. All right. Thank you so much. Check it out. Have a great day, Ahmer Khan, and best of luck. And please reach out to him if you have a travel idea, experience you want to take upon. He's here and he'll guide you along the way clearly. So knowledgeable. Thank you so much. Wow, 50 countries. I'm impressed. I commend you. What about your kids? How many countries have they been to?
10.
Amazing. God bless. All right, Ahmer Khan. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.